Friday thoughts from the minivan. Big thanks to our graphic design team for coming up with that logo. Hey, so past week or so, somebody asked me, and I've been asked this a few times over the years, but they asked, why are we called the Church of the Nazarene? That name, Nazarene. Why that? And good question. Now, that name really just refers to the Church of Jesus, the one that we follow. But it's not arbitrary. Like, there's a very specific reason why we choose that word, Nazarene. That's where Jesus was from. There's this place in the Gospels, Gospel of John, chapter 1, where Jesus is going out and he's calling his disciples. He's calling these people to follow him. And Philip, Jesus calls Philip, and then Philip goes and tells his friend Nathaniel, he's like, hey, I think we found him. We found the one that Moses was talking about, the one that the prophets were talking about. We found him, and his name is Jesus. And get this, he's from Nazareth. He's a Nazarene. And Nathaniel responds, what would have been an appropriate response. He says, Nazareth, like disgusted almost. He's like, can anything good come from that place? And we think that's interesting now because we don't maybe necessarily know. We don't live 2,000 years ago. But Nazareth, some really smart people at least say that Nazareth was a place that would have been considered unimportant. Like, nobody aspired to be from there or to live there. It was not mentioned in any like Old Testament prophecy, at least not explicitly. It was kind of a newer city by Old Testament standards. It wasn't around then. Nothing, no king from there, nothing important from Nazareth. And in addition to that, it was considered a pretty poor city, maybe kind of backwards. Again, nothing good came from there. Now, you probably connecting these dots, but that says a whole lot about who God is, right? It's not just some kind of interesting plot twist that God decided to be like, oh man, let's pull a quick one on everybody. We're going to make God, when he shows up on earth, come from this weird place. Contrary to that is actually central to who God is. God was intentional about the way in which he showed up in the world. It said something about who he was. God is the one who shows up to the places where everyone else says, can anything good come from there? He's the one who shows up as the people where everyone else says, those are pretty unimportant folks. Those are pretty backwards. Those are pretty pushed down people. No, I don't aspire to be associated with them. The ones that others say they least aspire to be associated with, those are precisely the ones that God chose to show up and be a part of, be associated with. Now that gets me a little bit excited because it's good news for all of us. How many of us, on the one hand, have been in that spot where maybe you have said, man, I'm feeling pretty down and out. Like, I'm feeling pretty unimportant. I'm feeling pretty far away from God. And God, in his grace and mercy, is the one who says, I show up to you. When you feel like you're at the least, when you feel like you're at the end of your rope, that's exactly when I show up in grace. And that's true on an individual level for our salvation. But it's also true on this much bigger way in how he wants us to be then turning around and being involved in the very thing that he's involved with. He wants us to be Nazarenes. Now, I'm not talking about denominations. If you're watching this and you're not a Nazarene, that's not what I mean. I mean, he wants us to be involved and associated with those who are the least of these. Those who society or others say, man, they are, can anything good come from there? Like, look at those people. That's precisely where God shows up. And it's precisely where us, followers of Jesus, the one who showed up there, it's precisely where we got to be showing up. It's exactly where we are most clearly the church, when those are the places where we're showing up. I'm thankful to be a part of a church that has decided that that's in our DNA and our identity. We want to be the places where God is showing up, and that's where he's showing up. So may we, church, may we people watching this be people who are so shaped by Jesus, the Nazarene, the one who showed up to the least of these, that we then turn around and decide to be these open arms, welcome for all people, all those who feel far from God, because God is the one who meets us and welcomes us in. May it be so. Love you, friends. Happy Friday, and we'll see you soon.
I stand amazed in the presence of Jesus the Nazarene, and wonder how he could love me, a Savior.